Alrighty, good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday, May 11th, 2022, and we're going to get started here with our pre-market analysis. A crazy wicked drop there after the CPI news release here at 5:30. I think we dropped something like almost 100 points in a matter of a minute or two here. If we bring up the 1 minute, it'll show the whole collapse here. So there's the bar that closed at 529. Here's the bar that closed at 530, and then there's the drop 40.30 all the way down to 39.40. So almost 100 points here within a half hour. And that first drop, I mean, it fell what, 50 points in 1 minute. So pretty impressive stuff. With that being said, let's just jump right in. I want to go back to yesterday to quickly review what we did coming into the open. So remember that we did not really expect any type of bullish breakout. Again, there's nothing going on right now that would warrant that type of response in the market. So we expected lower, but out of the open, really strong in market internals. Everything looked like maybe we were going to get some type of bullish breakout. So as we pushed up, we went ahead and tried a long off our first expected little resistance level here at 56, and there was no follow through. Told you there was another possibility they could hold the 200, didn't hold the 200, and then as it broke lower, we decided to try I decided to try a short and call a short. Unfortunately, it did go about 4 or 5 points against the position or the entry, and then went in favor, and then called another short off the 200 as things were starting to sell off, and then of course came right back. So the morning was a little messy until we got to the test of the VWAP. And if you remember yesterday, we were right around at here as we were starting to fall lower. I told you that if we could get through, and I believe we had it highlighted yesterday, this little pocket, or at least we talked about this little area here around the orange power level, the 50% of the previous day, and right here, right around VWAP, if we end up breaking below there, and I think I specifically told you I want to see a break below our holy orange power level, and if that happens, I want to start getting heavier on the shorts because three critical levels will have broken, and then we obviously had some other clues for the bears. So just before we broke through the orange power level, went ahead and called a short here off the VWAP. I added to my position here. If you guys remember, I got in 29.50, added at 30.50, and then that was it. This thing dropped greater than 60 points, never came back. So even though there was a few crappy trades in the morning session, in fact, if you took every single call, you would have probably lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trades. But then this happened, and we got short here at VWAP, and the market went from just about 40.30, 40.29, all the way down to 39.45, 39.50 basically, which was our target. Remember, we were talking about this little area, 39.50, 30 or 39.45 being the major level, with 39.50 and 39.40 surrounding it there. So that was the target, the larger time frame target once we shorted from here. Of course, wanted to take profit at 4,004, and I did, and look what ended up happening. We very well could have just gotten a nice launch. Let me get this in here. So we came down right into 4,004, and I took profit, I think, at 06 here just in front. And sure enough, we did get some follow through to the upside, but obviously not enough. And then once we came down and got below 4,004, what do you know? They held it once, they held it twice, they held it 3 times that time to the tick, and went ahead and came all the way down to, again, that 39.50 area eventually. So pretty good morning if you got that short there. And then let's just take a look at what ended up happening. We came all the way down to a low of about 3 points in front of our minor eye level at 39.50. Got a really strong response by the bulls from there. And in the at the end of the day here, let's just look at the retracement from the low at 39.53 all the way up to the high of the afternoon session there, notice where the market found support. And I kind of stopped talking about this, but right to 61.8, like to the tick. In fact, it came down. If you look here, market pulled back and bounced right at the 38 retracement, which happened to be what number? 4004 again, right? So 4004 held, finally broke through 4004 and came down right to the 61.8 right there. I mean, to the tick. There was even some really nice resistance right there from earlier that was not tested. And we had this major swing. If you see that dotted line coming across the screen there, that major swing we've been watching, and it's been a really strong support and resistance level throughout, even within the chop. So came down, held the 61.8 and that major swing level we were watching. And now here we are in the overnight session. Attempted to bounce out. Remember, hold a fib leg, pushing, pulling back, and then bouncing off the 38, coming down. Didn't quite use the 50 to the tick, but bounced just a little bit below it and then came right to the 61.8. The expectation, if that does break out, is to go ahead and push up to what, about the 27 or more. Didn't quite get there. So in the overnight session, we got up right into, I guess, the KP that we had for today, and then failed right off of it. And then obviously this was the CPI news that we just talked about. And ever since, so for the last 45 minutes, we've just basically been selling off, coming down and making a new low of the year, I believe, if we zoom out. And that's what we have to do now, is go up to the higher time frames. I believe we went ahead and just made a new low for the year. So let's go ahead and jump in here. I'm just curious to see. So yeah, I mean, the market started the beginning of January all the way up at new all-time highs and is now down to new lows for the year. So let's take a look here. We'll go up to the daily and look at yesterday's candle here. I mean, pretty ambivalent looking, but also not the strongest situation there. And then obviously today's candle has gone ahead and pushed lower with a huge wick to the upside as well. So not really looking too strong. And remember this major swing that I told you about, that we just talked about coming across here, that acted as a really good support in our overnight session for the bounce and then the failure. Notice that we can't get through that. In fact, if we go down to a shorter time frame and look at that major swing low there at 40, 50, whatever, 56, we've come up and tried to break through on May 9th, pulled back. We tried to come up and break through yesterday. And again, it's a little peek through and then a failure. And then this in the overnight session, we came just in front of it, and then the CPI hit and we failed. So that is that swing there on the daily, and you can see it's just the bulls cannot get through. So what we're expecting today is more continuation to the downside. Let's go down to the 60-minute and start talking about the levels that we want to be aware of coming into the open. So first things first, the major leg down, this whole push from up here at 43.03 all the way down to the low we made here, the low we made after the sell-off here this morning. If you measure the retracement of that, and I just want to make sure, for some reason it doesn't look right to me, so give me 1 second here. Just make sure that this is, okay, yeah, it's perfect. So we've got our major retracements to the upside. The 38 retrace is sitting here at 40.86, the 50% up here at 41.28, and the 61 up there at 41.68, 75, I guess, or something within a few ticks of that. Those are the three major retracement levels. Do I expect us to come up and actually test these this morning? No. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen. I mean, this could be the low, and we could start really ripping higher for whatever reason, but doesn't really look, as far as everything going on right now, it doesn't really, I wouldn't expect that to happen. But remember, it doesn't matter what we would expect to happen. We have to adapt to whatever the market's doing. and trade it. So if it does push higher, those are those three major retracement levels we have up above. And let's take a look. If the market continues to push this morning, we're pushing up into this this very relevant swing at 39.86 that I didn't talk about earlier, but this 39.86 I think we mentioned was a level we were watching, and it held in the overnight session for that bounce. Coming up to the back end of that swing is an important level to break if we're going to have any faith in a continuation by the bulls this morning. So that major swing there is 39.8675, and we did get a little minor peak below by about a point or two. So that little pocket there from about 39.84 to 86.75 would be our first expected resistance level this morning. If the bulls continue to push, there's the close, that white line you see coming across here at 39.9150, very close to 86 there. So that little area is going to be important to break just for starters. Now, if it continues to push, we do have, and I might have to go down to my 30-minute to see this, but we do have a pretty significant swing here at 4,000 and then the major level at 4,004. So if we look at the 10-minute chart here on the left, that swing right there, let me get the actual number, 4,003/4 or 4,075 right there. That little swing and the major eye level are right above. And here's the problem with this morning. As we push up into these expected resistance levels, there's a lot of shit right there. We have the swing, we have 4,004, we have 50% of the previous day, we have the three smaller retracement levels of this overnight leg, and we have the orange power level. So everything above the close from yesterday and below the orange power level is going to be, in my opinion, somewhat of a messy area. So just keep in mind, these are the levels we have. We've got the swing that we're testing at the moment, the one I just mentioned. We've got the close from yesterday. We've got that next swing, 50% retrace of the sell-off, and 4,004 all sitting right around there, and we have 39.97. So like I said, a clusterfuck right here, and then we're right up to the orange power level. We do have the VWAP coming down right now, and let's see if I can draw on the screen. This VWAP right here could kind of do something like that, right? So that is a dynamic support and resistance level. So potentially that could line up with a level that ends up holding. So not being able to get through VWAP, another clue that the bears are, not strong right now. And what else can I say about this area that we're pushing up into? If you just zoom out and look at what happened over here, it's quite a mess. So just be aware that there is a whole bunch of stuff in here. And if you look at our really short time frame chart with our prediction points on there, I mean, this is just a mess, right? I mean, how do you pick out the best level there? There's just a million different relevant things. And there's your VWAP again. So not being able to get through VWAP, not being able to get through 50% of the day before, and our major eye level at 4,004, which we're now ducking down below again, and not being able to get through the orange power level. These are all clues for continuation to the downside. Let's talk about some of the levels a little bit further up, and then the levels a little bit further down, and then we'll get into trading in the morning. So bring up the 60-minute chart one more time, and we'll take a look. If the bulls somehow break through all these levels here, and they get up through the overnight high, up through the major swing at 40.56, and up through the previous daily high, we're pushing up into the major retracement level I talked about, and 40.80. And then a little bit further from there, we've got the next major swing at 4100. And then from there, it's up to the next 50% retracement of the entire sell-off right here at 41.27, 41.28. And then it's back to the major eye level at 41.42. Any further from there, we talked about the other larger retracement up at 4169, and then from there right back to the major eye level at 4200, and still the two pockets that we've been watching for a while still in play up here: 4240 to 43, 4256 to 61, and then we're all the way back to 84, 4306, and the next major eye level around 4324. And that might be a little pocket from 20 to 24 there. So that's everything up above. And all these levels should basically be the same levels you have on your charts. The only difference is we have three new major retracement levels. On the flip side of things here, if the bulls cannot break through all this mess and we break through the low of the overnight session here, right around our major level at 39.45, if we get below there, next target right down to the next major eye level at 39.14, and then we have 38.90, and again, these are all levels we've been talking about for a week or two. We've got 38.45, the major eye level 38.22 to 38.13, and then down to 37.79 to the major eye level at 37.72.50, and then from there all the way down to 36.77 and 36.12, and that will be another 200 or 300 points lower. So I think we covered all the most important levels to be aware of here if we do continue to sell off. And I think that's basically it for the morning. Again, we do have some bullish divergence off the overnight low. So that means that we could potentially see an attempt by the bulls here to break higher, which is exactly what we're seeing happen right now. The question is, again, as we push higher into this major swing that we just talked about, into the 38% retracement of the overnight sell-off, can they continue to push, and can they get through the close of the day before and through some of these other levels? So that's it for today. We'll be back tomorrow, and we're going to get down to our member section. So have a great day.